Good morning. My name is Eric Blank, and this is the Commissioners' Weekly Meeting for November 26, 2025. Commissioner Plan, any preliminary matters? Are you ready to vote to approve the consent agenda?
I am ready to vote to approve the consent agenda.
As am I. So approved. Proceeding number 25A-0471R, Ms. Sava.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Jessica Zava with the Rail Transit Safety Section. On November 5th, 2025, RTD filed an application requesting approval of its Roadway Worker Protection Plan, also known as RWP manual, and its track access guide to improve transit safety workers' safe that is consistent with federal and state safety requirements. The FTA published the RWP regulation on October 31st, 2024. This is a new regulation that will require Commissioners' approval annually. Since this is the first RWP that RTD has filed for approval, staff reviewed Rule 4 CCR 723-7-7357, which states that the Commission is required to review the initial RWP and approve RTD's Roadway Worker Protection Program elements on or before December 2nd, 2025. A 30-day notice was provided for this application, so the notice in this matter does not expire until December 5th, 2025, after the required date by which the RWP is required be approved by the rules. RTD is the only entity that the Commission is required to provide notice to, so waiving the remainder of the notice period in this matter does not create any notice issues. I'm ready to answer questions or provide recommendations to Commission.
No, we'd welcome a recommendation.
Thank you. Staff recommends that the Commission waive the remainder of the notice period in this proceeding on its own motion and provide motion to approve the RTD 2026 RWP.
Commissioner Plant.
I agree with the recommendation.
As do I. And if it's an order, it can be an ABC order. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a happy holidays.
You too. Thank you. Proceeding number 24A-0442E, Public Service Company, Colorado, 2024 Just Transition Solicitation. Mr. Eden.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Michael Eden with your advisory team. This morning, I'll present for your consideration a motion for stay that was filed on November 17th. As background, in your Phase 1 decision in this proceeding, the Commission resolved several disputed issues regarding the power purchase agreements, or PPAs, that Public Service Company of Colorado will use to purchase electricity from independent power producers, or IPPs. In addition, the Commission established a procedural process to facilitate the development of minimally negotiable PPAs. Specifically, the Commission directed Public Service to submit updated versions of the PPAs 14 days after the written Phase 1 decision. Parties have 14 days after the submission of these revised PPAs to submit response comments and proposed revisions, and the company has 14 days after that to submit reply comments. The Phase 1 decision states that the Commission will subsequently issue a decision on the final PPAs that will be used in the JTS resource solicitation. On November 17th, the Colorado Independent Energy Association, the Clean Energy Industries, and the Interwest Energy Alliance, collectively the IPP trade associations, filed a motion for stay seeking to hold in abeyance the procedural process to develop final PPAs. The IPP trade associations argue that moving forward with the procedural process before the Commission issues a decision on the applications for rehearing, re-argument, or reconsideration of the Phase 1 decision would prejudice parties' due process rights. They argue they should not be required to comply with the PPA procedural process that they are simultaneously challenging in RRR. They assert the overlapping processes will materially affect their ability to advocate for a different result and may risk in the unnecessary expenditure of resources if the Commission modifies or eliminates the process in its RRR decision. The IPP trade associations also argue the current deadlines for the PPA procedural process, which require responses on December 4th, which would be especially difficult given the Thanksgiving holiday. In accordance with the Phase 1 decision, on November 20th, Public Service submitted the revised PPAs. On November 21st, Public Service filed its response in opposition to the motion for stay. The company asserts that granting the motion for stay will delay the Phase 2 process until 3 or more months following the Commission's RRR decision. Public Service asserts that such a delay is improper in light of the current commercial and resource adequacy realities. Public Service also argues there's no due process issue with the current PPA procedural process. The company states the IPP trade associations have already extensively documented their concerns prior to the Phase 1 decision, and that there is no need to wait for the RRR process to play out before considering the PPA red lines. In fact, Public Service argues it is better to run the two processes in parallel. Moreover, Public Service asserts that any Commission decision on RRR will be incorporated into the PPAs prior to the solicitation. Despite the broad opposition to the motion for stay, the company offers that the Commission could consider extending the response deadline by 4 days to account for the Thanksgiving holiday. With that, I'll pause for your deliberations on the motion for stay. I can also provide a recommendation if you'd like.
Yeah, I think I'd welcome a recommendation. I think given all the commercial issues out there and the uncertainty, delay doesn't make sense, but maybe we can give them more time. So if you have any guidance for us, Mr. Eden, that'd be great.
The advisors recommend denying the motion for stay, but extending by 11 days the deadline for the responses to the revised PPAs. We agree with the company that requiring response comments to the PPA red lines prior to the Commission's resolution of RRRs does not create due process concerns, nor does setting the deadline for PPA responses prior to the resolution of the RRRs moot the arguments that the IPP trade associations may put forth in RRR. While we disagree with arguments that further briefing on the PPA revisions should wait until after the Commission's RRR decision, we acknowledge the challenges of preparing responses to the PPA revisions at the same time that RRRs are being drafted, especially with the Thanksgiving holiday. Advisors recommend setting the deadline for responses to the revised PPAs on December 15th, 2025. This would provide approximately 2 full weeks after the RRR deadline and after the Thanksgiving holiday to prepare and submit response comments. Advisors recommend setting a deadline for Public Services reply comments on January 2nd, 2026.
Commissioner Plan.
I agree with the recommendation.
As do I, and that can be an ABC order. Mr. Eaton, does that give you what you need?
It does. Thank you.
Thank you. Proceeding number 25AL-0459, performance incentive mechanisms for the Pawnee conversion project. Ms. O'Neill.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. I'm Erin O'Neill with your Fixed Utilities staff. I'm here to discuss proceeding 25AL-0459E. On October 30th, 2025, Public Service Company of Colorado filed this advice letter to revise its Energy Commodity Adjustment, or ECA, tariff to reflect the addition of 3 performance incentive mechanisms, or PIMs, for the Pawnee generating facility after its conversion to burn natural gas. This is in compliance with requirements as ordered in decision number R240194 in proceeding number 22A0563E, which was the Pawnee conversion CPCN proceeding. The company is not seeking an ECA rate increase or decrease at this time, as the results of the PIM are not yet known. Thus, the tariff revisions will not have any effect on rates for any customers upon implementation, and there will therefore have no bill impact or change in revenues. By way of background, in the Pawnee conversion CPCN proceeding 22A0563E, parties reached a non-unanimous settlement agreement, which was approved without modification by recommended decision R240194 on March 29, 2024. The settlement established 3 PIMs applicable to the Pawnee conversion project. The first is a cost to construct PIM with an $80 million baseline and a hard cap at $88 million. A construction timing PIM The in-service date for the project is supposed to be January 1st, 2026, and there is a penalty, daily penalty if the project is not completed by that date. And then parties also agreed on a unit efficiency or heat rate PIM, where if the actual unit performance as calculated after the conversion exceeds 105% of the baseline heat rate, the company would forego any earnings resulting from the other PIMs established in that proceeding. The detailed calculation methodology for the unit efficiency PIM and the PIM baseline were filed into proceeding number 22A0563E on October 30th, 2025, and is based upon updated Pawnee boiler study results. The Pawnee settlement agreement required the company to provide the calculations to commission staff and confer with staff regarding the baseline methodology. Those requirements were also extended to the utility consumer advocate through decision number R240194. In that filing, the company confirmed, quote, that it has made the required disclosures to staff in the UCA, conferred with them both on the calculation, methodology, and resulting baseline, and neither party contests the unit efficiency PIM baseline. In fact, staff was directly involved in the development of the unit efficiency PIM and joins in this notice filing. The advice letter at issue here proposes to add language stating, quote, the company's conversion project shall be subject to 3 separate PIMs as approved by decision number R240194 in proceeding number 22A0563E. Upon reconciliation of each PIM after any requisite construction and or accounting, the company will credit an amount equal to any earnings decrease it incurs under the PIMs to its electric retail customers, or charge electric retail customers for any amount equal to any applicable earnings increase the company earns under the PIMs, as applicable through a quarterly electric commodity adjustment filing amortized over 10 years. Staff has reviewed the proposed tariff language and can confirm that the language is consistent with decision R240194. Happy to give you a recommendation or answer any questions.
I think you pretty much did, but keep going.
Yeah, staff recommends that the advice letter be allowed to go into effect by operation of law.
I'm totally supportive of the recommendation and appreciate the progress made aligning incentives. I do have one question for you, sort of in light of what's going on with Unit 3 down in Pueblo. Should we be focusing more on availability, or in addition to what we're doing? Just any thoughts on that more broadly in this context without trying to resolve that issue, but it does seem to.
I can speak to that, and I will be careful. So as part of we had an entire proceeding 24A0417E, I believe was the number, where we addressed PIMs for all of the units coming out of the company's most recent electric resource plan 21A0141E. Part of that was to establish PIMs on capacity factor, or sort of output for energy resources, wind and solar, but also established an availability PIM for new peaking gas facilities. So I think, yes, parties have been moving in a direction of trying to put more focus on availability metrics for peaking units. I do not think I would quite characterize this as a peaking unit. As a conversion project, doesn't have the same flexibility as like a new CT would be. So I think that's why the parties in this instance didn't propose an availability factor per se. I will also be careful here. I think there are some proposals in the recently filed electric rate case to look at performance metrics for existing fleet. So I will not speak to that, but I think that is an issue that will be in front of you in other proceedings as well.
All right. It just seems like availability is an increasingly relevant metric. So with that, Commissioner Plant.
I agree with the recommendation.
Thank you, Ms. O'Neill, and that can go into effect by operational law.
Thank you.
Mr. Greenberg, CETA information meeting on December 11th.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. I'm Dan Greenberg of your advisory staff. I'm here this morning to briefly recommend that the Commission schedule a Commissioners Information Meeting, or SIM, on, as you said, Thursday, December 11th, 2025 at 9 a.m. This SIM was requested and is being organized by the Colorado Electric Transmission Authority, or CETA. The agenda CETA proposes for the SIM includes brief presentations on the role of reconductoring in the transmission capacity expansion study that CETA published last year, advanced technologies that can be applied in reconductoring, and the potential of utilizing CETA's bonding authority to finance transmission projects. CETA's proposed agenda also includes time for brief presentations on these subjects by Public Service and Tri-State, as well as significant time for commissioner questions. So again, I recommend that this SIM be conducted remotely on Thursday, December 11th, 2025 from 9 to 10:30 a.m.
Makes sense to me, and thanks for organizing this, Commissioner Plan.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to it. Hour and a half might be tight. I think it's a pretty timely subject for us to be discussing, and I'm looking forward to hearing the presentation from CETA.
In defense of Mr. Greenberg, I pushed him to keep it tight, given everything else that's going on. So no blame to Mr. Greenberg.
Yeah, thanks for pulling this together, Mr. Greenberg.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I think it's
CETA's
really
doing all the work. I'm just kind of facilitating a bit.
okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Greenberg. Looking forward to it. That's all we got on our agenda. Any final comments, Commissioner Plan? Just happy holidays to everybody from me.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the tryptophan coma, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.